point well earned last week. Probably should have had 3, but that must have given everybody confidence going into what's a really hard set of matches.
Yeah, I think if you look at, if you compare the sort of QPR and Reading games in terms of being ahead and ending up not getting the 3 points, they certainly had a very different feel to the Villa game. That's not to say we were any more pleased about not winning the game, but I think the performance was such that I thought it was a very, very good performance, and it's always a difficult place to go. I don't think there's any team that will go to Villa and not have to defend towards the end of the game, although it wasn't like we were under massive pressure. I think we just switched off for a split second, which has been the case in a lot of the goals we've conceded, really. It's not been other teams have done so much that we couldn't hold on. So real good mood around the camp. Everyone was disappointed after the game. I think what's always important at this sort of period, that the players are just as aware of the things we need to do better than the staff and the fans and everybody. We're all trying to make sure these things don't happen. So, but yeah, everyone's in a good place. The atmosphere has been really good all week, and I think players can feel at least that we're performing pretty well on the whole. And we've got a little bit of momentum, but of course we want to turn that momentum into lots and lots of good results rather than some good ones and some okay ones.
They talk about the business end of the season being April, May, but these 4 matches in this very short space of time can actually change the course of people's seasons, can't they?
Yeah, they can certainly make you feel, differently to how you attack the new year, and I think at the moment you can see it quite clearly. We spoke about our start to the season, that we're always playing catch up. That's what it is. But we could put ourselves in a really good position going into the new year. If we don't get results in the next few games, then we can perhaps feel slightly less positive about it. So it's as simple as that. But I've done it lots of different ways in the Championship, and I've had seasons where you have fantastic starts. I've had seasons where I'd be sat in second place now. And ultimately nothing really matters apart from where you sat in the last game of the season, and that's just a simple fact. It's obviously a lot easier for me to say that when you've not started so well. I'm going to go for the long-term game, but the reality is it's about getting results over a period of time, and we've got plenty of points to go for. We're playing well, in my opinion. I think there's some seeds of positivity shooting through. I know it's harder for everyone to feel really positive about it when you look at the league table, but we're certainly on the up, in my opinion.
And when you look at these games in quick succession, it's important to have a fairly fit full squad, isn't it? And you seem to have that now.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I mean, touch wood. We've been, been very fortunate that all the players have been training. A couple of injuries to some of the young lads. Tyrese Campbell not going to be available, I don't think, for the weekend, which is a bit of a disappointment, because a couple of games now where, when he was going onto the bench, he's not managed to been able to do that. But that's what happens at this time of the season when you're training a lot and playing a lot. But everyone else, I think, is fine. We've had a little bit of sickness earlier in the week in the camp, but fortunately it's not manifested in any way, and certainly got a strong squad to choose from. I think that's always an advantage when you're going into a period of lots of games in a short space of time. We are very fortunate that the squad we have means we're able to not weaken the side whenever we choose to in certain areas. And I certainly think those players that haven't played are really chomping at the bit. It's not easy. Spoke about it before, I think, in the last press conference. It's not easy when you're a top player and you haven't played many games. But what I would say is they've been together with the rest of the group, and the spirit, I have to say, the spirit has got better and better as the weeks have gone on, and they're really starting to show signs of being a very, very united group.
Do you look at these 4 games in isolation, or do you look at them and think, well, I might have to use this player here or that player there, or do you just wait and see how each match progresses?
I think you always have an eye on it, but I think that's always difficult to do. I've sat here, I've spoke to the players before and said, we're going to need, everyone's going to have to be used, and sometimes you play so well in a game that you think, I'm going to keep the same team, regardless of it only being 2 or 3 days. I think the proximity of the games over Christmas means that sometimes you have to look at freshening games up, even if you don't necessarily want to tactically. I think you have to assume that the players are going to find it very difficult to. You speak to some of the European coaches and they feel it's impossible to recover with only 48 hours. and I think there's a certain element to that. So therefore, you have to make good decisions in the games. But I think sometimes it's hard to preempt that. And what you learn to do is, you learn to get the game out of the way. I never look. Sometimes people will ask me who've we got next game, and I've got no idea. Because my focus is on this next game, and you know what this division's about. You've got to make sure you take every game as seriously as the next one.
And Millwall, who we are playing tomorrow, they're not going to be easy, are they? They're having a tough time, but they'll be up for this.
Yeah, listen, I know Neil and Dave Livermore pretty well. On a course recently with them over sort of an 18-month period, so I spent a little bit of time with them. They're really good guys, and I think they've done an amazing job. When you take a team from League One, I think what they've done is they've really because they've both played there, they've really sort of got the players to buy into what Millwall's all about. And I think it's hard for any manager to go down that route, but I think they've found a really good balance of what that club's about in terms of fast-paced, energetic football. They've obviously got into the Championship for a season or two. It's always, I think, you go on that momentum and adrenaline, and at some point sometimes you just come off that a little bit. That's probably the period they're having now. But I've played against them a few times, and they've got different ways of hurting you. They can move the ball around quickly, they can play with good energy and pace, and they can be very direct. And I think all three of those ways are ways that any team can win games of football. So it'll be a tough game. I will not regardless. I don't even look at the league table when Millwall's concerned, because we've warned the players it'll be a tough game. We've warned the players we've got to do certain things really, really well. But if we play like we have been playing recently, to our full potential, I believe that it doesn't matter who we play, we've got the ability to win the game.
And at this time of year, the players do a lot of public appearances, they go to all sorts of places for good causes. You do the training first, and then you go out afterwards. Does that help build the togetherness of the team?
I think it helps people. You know what? In our case this season, I think it helps build the perception that actually the players are all right lads. I think if anyone who's seen them at any of the events will see a group of players that maybe early season weren't getting any credit for the performances on the pitch, and we understand that. But when you see them out at these events and these performances, you see what a great bunch of lads they are. They're giving their time up selflessly, as most football teams do at this time of the season. For people that are certainly in a less fortunate position, you've got different places the players have been out to this week, and not one player's complained about it. Not one player's not gone there and shown even the ones that have not been in the team, who might well sit there with a glum face, have actually gone out there and given their time to people. So I think, I don't mean they should be given credit for that at all, but I think it just shows how football can help the community at a time like this. And I know as a club we're obviously very, very keen to do that work. So yeah, it's been a positive week actually from a non-footballing point of view.
And moving on from this game, presumably you'll be training on Christmas Day and then move on to the new.
Yeah, it's always great fun time at this time of year when you see everyone else with the Christmas jumpers around the media room, having a mince pie or two and a couple of lemon sherbets. It'd be spare a thought for us. In the hotel Christmas night, our family's celebrating on their own. It's part of being a footballer.
Issues anyway.
There you go. So it's part of being a footballer. Ultimately, that you have to make sacrifices if you want to be successful. Part of the sacrifices, when I was a player, you had to do the same thing. I once asked my wife if I could have pasta for Christmas lunch. She wasn't overly pleased with that one. I had to compromise slightly, but the reality is, it's a day before a game, and that's how you have to see it. Whilst everyone else celebrates and enjoys it, you have to have your mind on the football, and we have to be focused. Like you said, it's a big period. We'll train Christmas Day. What we will do is we'll give them the morning and a bit of the afternoon with their families. We'll train a little bit later, and then we'll travel straight down to Birmingham and sit in a hotel while most people are enjoying themselves.
And given that we're almost halfway through the season now, and I asked you for your quarter report, what's the most positive thing, apart from the fact that we're improving now, what's the most positive thing you've felt about your contribution to the team this year?
Well, I think certainly in terms of the group, there's an increased togetherness around the place. I think there's a real willingness of the group to be successful together. I think after that initial period, we're now starting to talk about performances on the pitch. We understand that we've still got a long way to go. We still want to improve, and I think we can improve. But I certainly see the group in a position to put lots of consistent performances in. And I'll be honest with you, yes, as staff, the staff have worked incredibly hard, and I don't think they get enough credit for the work that they put in all through the football, medical, sports science, all of those people. But ultimately, we've given them a framework that's took a little bit of time to work off. But I think the players take full credit. They've come out of a difficult period. They've mentally got themselves around what it is that's required, and I think now what we're seeing is, are we good enough to keep improving? And the biggest thing for me is the spirit in the group. I don't think there's been a game yet this season that we haven't at least fought to try and get a result in, and for me that's encouraging, and I expect us to improve as the season goes on. I think I said that in the quarterly report, and I'll say that once again.
And whilst most fans' prehab will be different to your prehab, they'll probably be rehabbing the same, but do you have any message to them for Christmas? Because you can make or break people's Christmases with the results. No pressure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We make or break everyone every week, unfortunately, as a manager of a football club. So, yeah, no, look, my message is the same. I appreciate, the club's had a sort of difficult period. What I would say is, and we know that the fans are going to get behind the team in numbers, and all I would say is, I think there's a lot to be positive about. I know it's difficult sometimes when you're not winning games 3-0 and 4-0, but there's a lot to be positive about, and I think if we stick together and we can be positive and all get behind it, then I do believe we've got a chance of being successful. So I wish all the Stoke fans out there a happy Christmas. I hope they have a fantastic period, and let's hope we can back that up and make them enjoy it even more, because the results are good.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.